And she goes, people are just so good. The world is so good and people in it are so good. There's just so much fear and it's just not real.
So I was talking with this guy, he was saying how fear is most often resolved in relationship.
Welcome to Trusted Podcast, where it's all about discovering who you are and learning the tools and strategies to make every area of your life a little sweeter. And now your host, master coach and caddy, Fader.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trusted Podcast. Hey, Fader.
Aloha, brother. My aloha's about Frozen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was up in Park City this weekend and it was like snowing. That like
Yeah.
SNOW, that's a 4-letter word.
Yeah, I think you did. You sent me a picture of
Through
that.
Hawaii.
Looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I forgot that kind of beautiful, It's been 5 years since I saw that white beautiful. The only white beautiful we see is in the foam of a crashing wave.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
They're a lot
Yep.
warmer, but
Well,
beautiful. Park City's beautiful.
in a couple months, I want to switch you. I want to go to the Big Island.
Yeah. Come on over. Come on over, brother. So what are we doing today?
Yeah, so quick note is that if you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, it's gaining a lot of traction and it's really cool just to see the thousands of people that are viewing the videos there. People are noticing, and I think it's because the message that we're here to share is a message of helping you learn how to trust it. And not just in one area, but in 8 areas, the 8 categories of life. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so because we are just always posting things to help you connect deeper and examine your life. So
I want to thank everybody just from the bottom of my heart. The questions, the comments, the fun stuff that it's very rewarding when you know that it's helping change lives and transform lives, just helping people get through their messiness and stuckiness. As we always say, this world is so messy, and why would we stop acting like it's not? Stop, people. It's messy, and we're all a mess. Every one of us.
Well,
Let's
speaking
clean
of
up as
that,
much as we can.
I'm really excited about our topic today because are we on hole number 6? Is that what we're on?
Yeah.
So hole number 6 in the 18 holes of mastering life. If you're tracking along here, you got to listen to the past podcast because we're going through a process here. We're going through a course, like a golf course, and hole number 6 is all about shadows. It's all about understanding your fears. And if there's anything true about my life, it's that fears are stopping me from living into the greatest version of myself. And so if you can understand this concept, I think that it can do wonders for you. So where do you want to start with this hole?
My coach tells me, what does your fear cost you so far in your life? And isn't that a fantastic question? It's one of my favorites. And so ask yourself that, those of you who are listening. Share it with someone who you know is going through a really fearful time or just needs a lot of love. And as we conquer our fears, it's really hard for us to identify them. And so we have a little summary where you write down the 8 different categories that we have here, from relationships all the way down to social. And then you identify the fear that you have that is the most prominent in each one of those. Like for a man, for example, one of the biggest one in the financials is that he won't have enough to take care of his family. I don't know a man who doesn't have that. And for a woman, that one of her children might not be safe. That is just preeminent in the lives and hearts of men and women right there. Those are just 2 quick ones. But I'll just share a really quick little story. Heidi and I were on this cruise through the Baltics last year, and we were listening to some of the TV stuff that was on the war in Russia and Ukraine. And so we were not able to go to Poland and Russia. And a lot of the people talk on the dinner table and everything, they're like, man, I wish we could get there, but I'm just too afraid to go in there. And I'm like, why would you be afraid to go in there? I just want to find a golf course. There's nothing too dangerous about that. But
yeah,
we got to Sweden and we were on this little island in the city of Karlskrona. And when we got off, every time we got off, Heidi and I were on our way to a golf course, and this one was the furthest away. It was about 20 miles.
Mm.
And we got there, and the people who were on this island, they were just getting onto buses. There was not any Uber drivers or Lyft or anything for us to get. And I'm like, oh, I think we're stuck here, Heidi. We're going to have to go look at cathedrals and cement. She's like, okay, well, and all of a sudden this guy, he overheard my conversation that I was having with another young lady. And she said, well, there's really nothing here, but maybe we can find someone. And this guy goes, I'll take him.
Yeah.
And so he takes us up to the golf course, 20 miles away, and he gets about 10, 12 miles out, and he says, this is really fun for me because I've never even been here. I've lived here 7 years. This is up kind of the mountain region. I don't really get there, and it's an old farming district, and I think they turned the golf course. There was the farm into a golf course. I'm like, okay, whatever. This is awesome. So he drops us off, and we go in, and we talk to the pro, and he's like, wow, you guys came all the way to play here? I'm like, yeah, we did. And he's like, well, it's my treat. I'd like you and your wife to just go walk my golf course. And afterwards, I lived in Texas for 1 year. And while I was there, I learned a lot about golf and a lot about stuff. I brought it back to my dad and I said, let's turn this little farm into a golf course. And not the whole thing, but just a part of it. And they turned it into a little 18-hole golf course, and it was just lovely. Well, he treated us to the round, and then afterwards we came back and talked to him for about an hour, and eventually another person showed up. Hey, I'm looking for Brent and Heidi. It was the lady. And she goes, I'm here to pick you up for who brought you here. And I said, oh, great, great. We said goodbye, and we got in the car, and she drove us back to the cruise ship. And on our way back, she goes, do you mind if I just take you to the highest point here in Karlskronen? It's a little hill. And I'll tell you a story. We got up there, we got out of the car, and you could oversee it, all the little beautiful city. And she goes, I want to tell you a story. She goes, my mother and I, we live right down, you can see the street right there. That's where we live. That's where I live, and that's where my mother lived. And during the time when the Jews were trying to escape from Poland, they would come here. A lot of them would come here and then continue on. But we hid some Jews for about a month. And when it was time for them to leave, my mother gave them her jacket, her fur jacket. I don't know if you call them mink jackets or whatever, but
Yeah.
I just remember how scared the people were to leave, and while they were there, how scared they were, how much fear had conjured up in their minds. And my mother would spend time with them every day trying to comfort them. But she gave them her most prized jacket. Well, about 3 weeks ago, this jacket was returned by the woman who came through our house, by her daughter. She brought that jacket back and told her the stories about how they survived and how they got through all this. And her jacket kept her safe and warm and comfortable for so many years, especially during that time. And she goes, people are just so good. The world is so good, and people in it are so good, and there's just so much fear, and it's just not real. And it warmed our hearts, and we went back on, got on the ship, and Heidi and I talked about it extensively at dinner and with the 6 people that we were dining with, and we were just telling them the story about what these people had taught us. But once again, on a golf trip somewhere outside of the United States in a little island off Sweden, I was taught the most beautiful lesson about who are we listening to? Where are we getting our information? CNN, Fox News?
Yeah.
Get your information from the people that are borrowing their jackets to other people, who are just always there to help you and to give you support and to lend a hand. And that's what helps us to conquer our fears, is to get in touch with the right sources. And the big man upstairs says, fear thou not. Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will help thee. Yea, I will strengthen thee with my right hand of righteousness. It's one of my favorite passages of all. So take this exercise, and how would you say blow it up a little bit, Tyson?
Yeah, I was recently learning from a fellow that when it comes to fear, what's the scripture? There is no fear in love,
Hmm.
but perfect love casteth out fear. As I was talking with this guy, he was saying how fear is most often resolved in relationship. A lot of times we talk about having faith over fear. Faith is not just a belief, it's a trust. And it's a
Hmm.
relationship kind of trust. When you say, okay, like go to the guy upstairs, this idea of building a relationship with a higher power, with God,
Hmm.
who we believe can provide for us, can help us, can comfort us in moments of fear. And when we walk and do something with someone, like sometimes my wife, she'll be afraid to send a text or to do something. I'm like, let me see it, and
Hmm.
I'll and uh,
Out there.
and I'll look at it. I was like, this is great. Let's send it. I'm like, let me be with you in this. Let me just do it with you, and that can
Hmm.
mean the world to people. Just walking
Hmm.
together and to do things that you're afraid of. I think it's just really powerful. So,
That's beautifully said. And as you and I both know, a lot of people stay in their marriage because they're afraid to get out of it. But the
oh
way
yeah,
to connect faster than any way I know is to praise them. Just praise them. And those fears go away. And it's such a beautiful thing. And throw in your children while you're at it. And throw in your besties and your good friends and your colleagues and stuff. That's the way we reduce fear in the world and in our lives, is by praising each other and adoring and honoring each other. And
hmm
there's just so little of that in marriages in today's world. So
yeah.
give it a try.
Earlier, you mentioned the activity of going through each of the 8 categories, and within the Trust It Club, we have worksheets and things that will just help you apply this. So you
Mm-hmm.
can check out trustitcoaching.com for that. But beyond writing out our fears, it's like, okay, I know them now. It's like I've written them out.
Mm,
Now what?
yeah.
Is there a recommendation or a thing that you'd say, hey, try this?
The one thing that has changed my life so dramatically is once you identify the fear that you have in each category, and make it sure it's like I said, a male feels the responsibility to provide for his family.
Yeah.
In today's world, that's not so big because so many of the ladies are working, and go get them. I'm all
Yeah.
for it. But that having enough to be able to pay the bills and to keep a roof above their heads and them safe is dramatic and traumatic. As you identify that fear, you sit with it and you ask yourself, where did that come from? Where did that come from? And that's what we don't do with our fear, Tyson, is the word in the therapeutic world today is to sit with it. Okay, I love that. Don't just sit with it, talk about it. Talk about it with your therapist, talk about it with your coach.
Yeah.
Why do I feel that way? Where's that coming from? Was it from my parents? Was it from a teacher? Was it from the fact that I don't have enough? Look at my bank account, I only have $10 in there. And there's so many little things that creep into our lives. We don't take the time to identify them. So just by identifying, I'm going to say that again, just by identifying, you dissolve it.
Mm.
And it has less power,
Yeah.
meaning the tentacle is wrapped right there, tight. And as soon as you identify it, the brain says, oh, we got a way out. He's talking about it. He's exploring it. He's recognizing it. His mother used to say things like, we don't have money for that. We don't have money for that.
Yeah.
Starving people in China, we don't have money for that. Eat that food. And you could
Mm.
go on. There's 100 different things, but it usually stems from your childhood or early adolescence, where you learn, like, I don't have enough. I don't have enough. I'm not just enough. I don't have enough to be able to take
Mm.
care of things. And that is traumatic to the mind, the
Yeah.
heart, and the soul.
Yeah.
So take the
Well,
time, and people don't. People don't
no.
take the time, Tyson, to sit with that and identify it, explore it, and dissolve it. Oh,
Well,
you can
that's the
trust
thing.
that one.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we can share this information, it's just information, right? And until someone applies it, and in my mind, it is best to walk through something with a coach. That's why we offer the coaching services, is because even me personally, and I know for you, you have like 3 coaches. I have a coach. Unless we get help from outside of us, sometimes it's hard to walk through this. So just know that we're here for you if you need it.
Yeah, I'll close by saying I've never met anybody who's walked through anything by themselves. You're not going to be the first. If you're whoever's listening, you will not be the first. We get through this life from lots of hands and hearts, and you can trust that.
Hey, listen, if you enjoyed this podcast, you'll want to come check out trustedcoaching.com, where you can get more support and coaching to help you become more of who you really are and to achieve the vision you have for your life. Again, that's trustedcoaching.com. We'll see you there.